Hello everyone, my name is Dave Partner and welcome to your next video tutorial on Nodejs. But before we start up, I want you to remember to subscribe to my channel. If you want to subscribe to my channel, all you have to do is open your browser and visit youtube.com/c/brainterm.org on your browser. It will bring you to my channel. Then you navigate to the right corner and look for the subscribe button and hit on it. Then if you're just watching this video directly, right under this video on YouTube, you will see a red subscribe button. Hit on it. If it asks you, like in the mobile version, it will ask you if you need notifications. Say yes, accept that you need notifications, so next time I make a video tutorial, you will always get the alert. Okay, and when you get to my channel, click on playlists, and sure, you will see a whole lot of more interesting video tutorials outside of programming. You see stuff on blogging and business videos. Alright, so we are in our 8th Node.js tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be treating something called buffers in Node.js. Actually, most of the things I'm teaching in Node.js are the main key points, the important parts. Okay, which means when you really want to deploy a live application, you will just, if you run into any problem or forget anything, always use Google as your major resource. Okay, and another very important resource you could use is the Node website itself. You visit nodejs.org and there you are. Hit on docs and you gain access to all the documentations that you need. Alright, so I'll be treating buffers. The reason I did this is that the buffers topic, I'll break it, is quite large, but I'll make it very short, very short and precise, and try to cover all the many important things you need. Very short, and I'll break it into 2 or 3 videos. So there we go. To do justice to this topic, all we have to do is we get to our node module that we are creating, then right click and create another file that we can call buffer.js, so that we can use this file to demonstrate what our buffers are. So you yes, and it's created. Then we open it in our text editor. Alright, so I'll do more of talking and we'll implement one or two things at the end. You know, pure JavaScript is Unicode friendly. It's very friendly to Unicode, but then it has problem when you start dealing with stuff like binary data. Alright, so it's difficult. In pure JavaScript, you could just write texts and manipulate strings and stuff, but once you start dealing with binary data like videos, TCP streams, file streams, you know, moving files and stuff like that, there's a little problem which makes it necessary to handle something called octet streams. Octet streams. You can Google more on octet streams. So, but I will explain what it is. An octet is a unit of information. Just a unit of information in computation. That's basically what an octet is. All right. It consists of 8 bits, but in summary, in layman's language, an octet is just how many characters you have in each word, including the spaces. So let's count how many octets are here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, including the space, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's 15 octets. Okay, 15 octets. So Node.js provides buffers to handle these octets. Okay, but in Node.js, these octets are just like arrays. The buffers are just like arrays. Okay, and the octets are just basically memory locations. Just they map memory locations outside of the V8 engine. Remember I told you that Node.js was built on Chrome's V8 engines. So we'll just check out the buffer and see. So for instance, like I told you, the buffer in Node.js is just like basic arrays. If we want to have a buffer, we can just say add buffer equals to new buffer just like you are declaring arrays, this buffer will have, let's just say, 20 octets. As you can see, it's that simple. We just declare the buffer with 20 octets. So which means the size of this buffer is 20. It can only contain like a sentence just a little above like this. Just this size of string. That's what the size of this buffer is. So there is another way to declare a buffer. Assuming you already have an array given to you, you can declare a buffer like this, where you have var buffer. This buffer is just an array. You could call yours anything, but then you must do this. You must use the word buffer here, and then you mention the array. Maybe you have a variable that has the array. Otherwise, it could just be something like 10, 20, 19, 23, 42. This is an array of octets. Alright? The first one has 10 octets, the second one has 20, and you have all of them inside your buffer. So that's the second method. The third method is, assuming you just have the string, you could just declare it directly. For instance, assuming let's just call this octets with a given array. So the next one, let's just call this octet with a given string. Octet a given string. Is it octet? This is really wrong. This is supposed to be buffer with a given string. Okay, so as well, we have a given string, we could just mention the string directly. We could say, hey, this, assuming two people were chatting on a server and one is sending a message, we could have like, hey, how are you? So this is the string that is being received. Since we don't know the size already, we don't have to declare a specific size for it. It's not an array, so we'll just pass the string directly, and this is good. The other thing you could do is, if you know the format, the Unicode, the encoding, it's coming from encoding format, you could specify it. For instance, an example of an encoding format is UF8. Alright, there are so many other ones which are available for Nodejs. Here is some of them, and of course you have one more called hex. Okay, this is the one we just used, UF8. You have ASCII, you have UTF-16 1E or whatever, and so on and so forth. You have base 64 and hex. Okay, so this is the default. UTF-8 is the default, which means even if we don't have it here, it will default to UTF-8. Okay, and there we are. Let's see if we can write to a buffer. Alright, we're assuming that two people are chatting, and let's see if we can write to a buffer. One way to do that is to, since we have declared what a buffer is, I will just comment these guys out. We can just now we've declared our buffer here. We can just say buffer dot write. This is how it is, how to declare, how to write to a buffer. I'm sorry if this is a little confusing, what a buffer is and stuff. We'll just do a little practical at the end of this video, and you'll see by yourself, or in the next video we'll do a little practical and you'll see what it is actually. Okay, so if you want to write to a buffer, maybe like add data to a buffer, you have this buffer. You declare the buffer first, then buffer.write, and there you have the first thing you put there is string, the string that you are writing to, which is basically something like this, hey, how are you? And the second one is the offset, is the index of the buffer to start writing at. Assuming the buffer is of size 20, or expecting 20 octets, maybe you want to start writing from octet number 4, which means the buffer should jump the space 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if you want it to jump and start writing from here, so you still have your space in the beginning, that's when you indicate an offset. Otherwise, by default, this offset is 0, which means it should start writing from the beginning of the buffer. And so you don't need to specify it if you don't want to jump anything. So the next one is the length. What's the length we're expecting, which is like 20. And the next one is the encoding. What's the encoding? By default is UTF-8. Okay, so once we have stuff like this, it means we can now write to our buffer. An example of writing to the buffer is something like this. We have as an example of writing to the buffer, since everything here in default is perfect, what we can do is just write the string directly. So that's it. We just wrote to this buffer. Every other parameter, all these offset and stuff, they are on default, so we don't need them any longer. Okay, so the next thing we can check out is how to read from the buffer. When you want to read from the buffer, you just declare your buffer, and what you have is our buffer, then .toString. So assuming we just wrote hey how are you to this buffer, then we have to read it by taking it, converting it into string, just to be sure that we're receiving a string. We mention the encoding, the starting point, and the ending point. So the encoding by default is UTF-8. If we are not intending to change it, then we don't need to really indicate. So the next thing is the starting point. Since it's 0, this defaults to 0, which means start from the beginning to read. So we don't need to indicate it if we are not intending to use it. And the ending point, if you want to read only this four octets, that's when you indicate an ending point. Otherwise, it will just read till end. So this is how to convert, how to print to an octet. Okay.